See, I need the landscape orientation so you can catch my eloquent gesticulations. Back in high school, I was in a play. I was actually in a lot of plays in high school. Hard to believe, isn't it? And we were doing a rehearsal, and the director, the faculty director, told me that I needed to use my hands less. He said I looked like a helicopter trying to take off. So
Oh no.
apparently this is a lifelong situation.
I don't find it hard to believe that you did that.
Yeah. All showbiz all the time. Good, okay, so,
Well, this is Italian and Jewish.
yeah,
And Spanish.
Oh, and Spanish, right?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
yeah. Yeah, actually, there's a joke. You could be the two Italian guys or the two Spanish guys or the two Jewish guys. Let's say the two Italian guys, they're walking across the field. It's a cold night. And one of them, he's talking. Finally, the other one says, listen, you can talk all you want, but I'm keeping my hands warm in my pockets. Thank you. I'm here all week, folks. So I'm just back from a week away in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and New Jersey. Did some really had a good time doing various teaching situations. My favorite was yesterday, a day-long retreat at Northern State Prison in Newark, New Jersey, with my group there, and it's just, I can't tell, it's just so great working with those guys, and to be a whole day with them, and just, doing the deep dive together, just great, really, nothing better. In case you ever find yourself at a time in your life where, let's say, you don't have your day job anymore, and you're going, well, I want to do something fulfilling with my time, go work with prisoners. And you don't have to be teaching meditation. They always need literacy teachers. Okay? And it's just the best. The one caveat is you won't want to do anything else. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
How is the guy in
Your friend with cancer.
Sorry.
Daishi, our artist friend.
Yeah.
He's, it's very fortunate that just, only a little over a month or so ago, for the first time in the dozen years we've been in touch, he got email capability.
Yes.
He has to get time at a kiosk and so forth. So he's at this other medical facility. Last I heard from him was a couple of days ago. He had finished his course of 10 days of intravenous antibiotics because he had an infection in his cheek where the cancer was, and they were supposed to ship him right back to his home base, to his regular place, and the doctor promised him, yeah, you're going right back, and they didn't ship him back, and he's there in he describes it as a completely hellish place with, violent, psych patients and so forth. I think someone got killed there already while he was there.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Well, I was thinking, I was reading a wonderful pamphlet, which I actually meant to bring with me, and I ran out so quickly I forgot. Written by somebody I met this weekend. You're familiar with Joe Ray, right?
No, I'm not. You know what? Let's do this after. I want to start the meditation. We got our friends here online, but no, we can talk. We can talk afterwards. But hey there, hi. Hi in the doorway. Okay. She's wearing a helmet. She doesn't. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah, I like your hat. Come on in. Have you been here before?
No?
Okay. So make yourself, you're just in time. We're just about to start meditating. If you got a cell phone, this would be a good time to turn it off. Okay. Do you have a friend coming in with you?
Yeah.
Okay, great, good. My name's Dean.
Lori King.
Lori, hi, good to meet you. Good to meet you.
I talk too much and I don't know how to meditate, so this will be good.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Okay, you're
I'm like a blah, blah, blah.
Okay, you've come to the right place.
Yeah,
You've
right.
come to the right place. Yeah. Yeah. We Yeah, and you don't have to know anything. Actually, I love it when people come and say, I'm a beginner, I don't know anything about meditation. That's perfect. And I always tell people, anything you know or you think you know or you've done before or you wondered, you just throw that all, toss it all aside. We just all blank slate. Here goes nothing. Who the hell knows? That's exactly the perfect attitude, perfect way to start. Hey, Tom.
Hi, Dean.
How you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Have a seat. Yeah, let's leave this open for
Okay.
kind of warm. So, let's start tonight with think of, when it's, let's say, back in your school days, and the last day of school in June, you've finished your last class, you've taken your last exam, you come home with the book bag or the backpack or whatever it is, all the notebooks, the textbooks, you toss them into the corner, maybe into the trash can, last time you're going to see those books, and you flop down on the bed on your back and you say, ah. Okay, you know that kind of ah? Okay, so let's do that. Let's take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. Ah. Oh, that's good. Let's do that again. Ah. And one more. Ah. That's my favorite mantra. That's the mantra, the natural mantra, the mantra of letting go, the mantra you've been doing all your life, the one that no one had to teach you. And looking around the room, just noticing how we're experiencing stuff already without trying. Now that the school's over, so we're done working, we're not going to work at anything here tonight. We're out of school. School is out forever, as the song goes. So if we look around, we notice, okay, I'm seeing objects, I'm seeing colors, I'm seeing shapes. But I'm out of school, so I'm not doing any work. Turns out, even if I don't do any work, I still seeing the colors and shapes, okay. I'm still hearing the airplane going by, hearing this guy's voice. So, without any work, without any trying to get things right, without getting a good grade, we just experience things naturally. Just this way, just the way they're being experienced right now. Okay. So let's change just one thing. Let's close our eyes. Yeah, let's do that again. Good. I like that. Thank you. Okay, let's take a deep breath. Ah. Yeah, it works with your eyes closed too. Still hearing stuff without working at it. Still feeling stuff. I can feel the chair under my butt and against my back. Even with the eyes closed, I'm seeing some subtle colors behind my eyelids. All happening without work, all happening naturally. I experience thoughts coming and going. No work involved there. Whatever feelings are there, feeling of maybe anticipation or restlessness, relaxation, nervousness, whatever's there. Whatever's there, it doesn't matter what's there. What matters is that we notice it's being experienced effortlessly. Do we have any control over how these experiences arise within our awareness? Did we decide to make the fountain outside sound the way it does? Can we decide what's the next thought we're going to hear? That all just seems to happen without our work, without our control. We're not in the driver's seat. So we may as well sit back, relax in the passenger seat. In fact, in the back seat. We're getting chauffeured here through our moment-to-moment experiences. Just sit back in the back seat. Not trying to concentrate, not trying to focus on anything in particular, not trying to feel some special way. Not trying to have a good meditation or any kind of meditation, whatever that is. Just effortless, natural, raw, uncooked experience as it shows up, moment after moment. Nothing for us to do but give up, relax in the middle of it. And as the sounds come and go, and the thoughts come and go, sensations, feelings come and go, it's kind of like waves coming and going on the surface of the ocean. They rise and fall. They go this way and that way. But the ocean is always resting in its bed. The waves of thinking and hearing and feeling, those waves come and go. But the ocean of just being aware, doesn't go anywhere. Always right here. Whatever happens, car goes by, somebody sneezes, and the sensation, the experience just happens all by itself. The thing we're aware of, the things we're aware of are always coming and going and changing. But awareness itself, this ocean, we could say, is always right here, never changing. And it has room for all the waves. None of the waves disturb the ocean. So we can just rest in that unmoving, silent, ocean-like nature of our own being, our own awareness. As all the waves of this or that experience come and go on their own. Nothing to hold on to, nothing to get rid of. Always just resting in awareness as it is. Just giving up to awareness as it is. Surrendering into that ocean. Whatever waves are coming and going on the surface, whatever sounds or thoughts or feelings, they're all fine. Don't take much notice of them. Just relaxing back into ourself, relaxing back into this silent, unmoving ocean of awareness within which all the movement of thought and sensation takes place. Nothing to monitor or evaluate. Nothing to figure out. Nothing to be mindful of. Those are all just ideas. They're just some more funny waves coming and going. They have nothing to do with us. We just, anytime you're wondering, wait, what am I supposed to be doing? Just relax back into yourself. Relax back into this awareness which is naturally vast and unmoving like the ocean. And always right here. The space within which everything else comes and goes. Any feeling that might come along. Whether it's a feeling of being tranquil or a feeling of being confused, feeling of being on edge or happy or depressed. For now, all those feelings are, doesn't matter which one is appearing. It's just another kind of wave on the surface of the ocean. None of it makes any difference to the ocean. So no feeling that comes along is a problem. Just one more thing up on the surface that we don't pay much attention to. At any point, if you feel as if you're struggling or grappling with something, a thought or a memory or a feeling or whatever, just relax your grip on it. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to get rid of it. Just relax your grip on it. Then it doesn't matter if it's there or not. It'll fall away in its own time. And even if it doesn't fall away, it doesn't matter. Just one more thing. One more wave that can't possibly disturb the silence of the deep ocean. Nothing to remember, nothing to figure out. No special way to feel. No way to do it right. No way to do it wrong. No way to do it. Do what? We're just being. We're just resting in the awareness that presents itself. Just giving up to awareness as it is, however it is. Letting go into that. Relaxing back into that, into ourselves. That's simple. Not doing, just being. Now let's keep the eyes closed and take a couple of minutes to just gently start bringing the body back to a more active state. Like waking up in bed in the morning. People often feel that, like stretching, shifting around a little, maybe rubbing their hands together or squeezing their face a little, get the blood going. then when you feel ready, you can slowly open the eyes, but always take your time.
Shh, quiet. Quiet silence.
Okay, how we doing?
Woo!
Good?
That really helped a lot.
Yeah? Oh, good.
Quiet down your mind, silence your mind.
There you go.
That's a lot better than an overactive chatterbox.
Yes, yeah, yeah, it feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
The
feels
mind, the mind feels at home. Mind feels like, you know what it feels like? Feels like, ah.
good. I wish I could do that more often.
Well, guess what? I got good news for you. You can do this anytime. You can do this anytime, and in fact, most of the folks sitting here in the room do this every day at home. And it's helpful at the beginning to have some guidance, but you know, if you go to my website, I've got guidance, like for instance, this one's getting recorded on YouTube, and you can play this one back, and or any of the others that are there, and just have Uncle Dean walking you through it. You can
Yeah.
do it every day, and then
That's not good to talk like that all the time.
uh,
It's not good.
yeah. It's right. The mind needs rest. Everything needs rest. You can't run your car all the time. You gotta park it once in a while. Let
Running
the
your mouth, that's
let the
not
parts
good.
cool off. Yeah, absolutely right. Now, you notice that what did I actually have you do in order for your mind to become quieter? Did I have you concentrate on the candle flame, or no, nothing. Exactly. Essentially, you did nothing. We're just noticing, I'm aware. The stuff I'm aware of comes and goes. The awareness itself is already quiet, is already silent. Just rest in that. I don't have to create silence. Silence is always here. The nature of our being, the nature of our awareness. It's like a big ocean or a big sky, open space. And usually we get caught up in the stuff in the foreground, as you say, the chattering of the mind, but so this silence has been here all the time in the background, so we just relax back into it. So simple. So simple. Any questions about anything? Any of this? Yes?
So I started to mention
Mm-hmm.
that I received a pamphlet from somebody that a really evolved, interesting man that I met this weekend
Mm-hmm.
at the workshop that I was at.
Mm-hmm.
He's a practitioner of Jōrei,
Mm-hmm.
or Shumi, I think it's called. It's a Japanese Buddhist kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, all these, the thing is that everything's connected, it's all the same. They may use different words for different things, and I wish I had brought the pamphlet with me. But one thing that he said, and I haven't had because he wrote this himself,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a chance to ask him about this because I hadn't gotten this far in his booklet. But he talks about karma, okay? And he talks about how some karma is linear and some karma is vertical. And my understanding is that vertical karma is like, you shoot somebody, it's like instant karma. You shoot somebody, you get arrested, you get put in jail, okay?
Mm-hmm. Is
And
that the horizontal or the vertical?
I think that's my understanding
Yeah.
is that's the horizontal.
Okay.
And the vertical is something that can go back 7 generations,
Mm-hmm.
Generational karmic ties, that sort of thing. Do you know about that? Can you speak about that? Expand on that. Karma. It's a big topic. It's
Okay.
a huge topic.
But is
Yeah.
it a topic of meditation or religion?
No, karma, which is part of everything.
But that's a religious point of view.
No, it's not
Not
religious,
necessarily,
it's a
it could be
philosophy.
spiritual, but it doesn't.
It's a
necessarily-
philosophic, it's part of a philosophical thought system.
Okay, well, the word karma literally means action.
Yes,
That's all it means. That's all the literal meaning of the word karma is action. It means doing.
right,
And no, it's great. I'm glad you brought this up because there's a lot of, to my point of view, there's a lot of misunderstanding
yes,
of
there
this
is.
word.
Yes.
You know, when a person says, "Oh, there's such and such," I'm well, that's because of my karma.
Yes.
It wasn't my doing. It was my karma. Now that's a contradiction, right? The whole point of people, in other words, people think of karma as some mysterious, flying fickle finger of fate, some arbitrary destiny that's, or some weird mysterious force or something. But the word literally means doing.
But it can be a cop-out when somebody says that.
Yeah, that's just my point. That's
Yes.
just my point. But it's from, from confusion, from lack of understanding.
Yes,
By extension, this word karma is used to mean, so it means action. By extension, it's used to mean action and its consequences. Hi, honey. Hi. I remember you. I haven't seen her in a week. So by extension, it's understood to mean action and its effects, because actions always have effects. We could think of the universe as being like a billiard table or something. You move one thing, you roll one ball, and it starts bouncing around. All the balls start bouncing around, knocking each other, and eventually, you give a kick to the 7 ball here, and eventually the 12 ball is doing something in some completely different part of the table, but as a result of that initial energy, that initial trajectory. So what you're calling there horizontal karma would be just that, where the results are the steps of cause and effect. This ball hit this ball hit this ball are happening in the kind of obvious everyday way. You set the whatever, you leave the gas going, the house catches on fire. Okay, whatever it is. That's the obvious stuff. And then what you're calling, or what this writer called vertical karma, it sounds like that's talking about more remote stuff where,
I think so, that's my understanding.
yeah, stuff where, and in other words, the idea often is that, maybe something that's happening to you now is the result of some action that you did so long ago you don't remember it. Maybe it was years ago, maybe it was, for people who think in these terms, maybe it was lifetimes ago.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and for some people, that's the framework they think of, more lifetimes. Some people, that framework doesn't make sense to them. It seems foreign or nonsensical. I don't think it matters in terms of the bottom line, which is, the understanding always is, do good stuff happens.
Yes.
To yourself and to others.
Yes.
Do bad stuff, and the result is bad stuff happens to yourself and to others.
Yes.
So do good stuff, don't do bad stuff. It's a simple concept. Whether it's, you got one lifetime or 1,008 lifetimes, I don't know. But the bottom line is the same.
Okay, now here's the thing.
Yeah.
What was the Buddha's first teaching? Suffering. Everything is suffering. You're a Buddhist. You are.
I am.
Yes, you're a Buddhist.
I guess I'm a Buddhist.
I am.
Yeah.
No, I mean.
You're a
you know,
Buddhist, okay.
I'm a Buddhist.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I want to end suffering.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about the end of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Karma is part of that. It can go back 7 generations.
Can it go back 8?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean,
It
I know
doesn't
this,
seem like you're suffering.
this number 7's, I mean, just my own reaction, this number 7 seems awfully arbitrary.
Well, according to certain scientists who are into quantum physics, they say that. So I mean, you can take that with a grain of salt or not, if you wish, but
Yeah, I will.
but but when you want to, I mean, the purpose of all of this that we're doing
Uh-huh.
is to end our own and other suffering.
Right.
So we are all connected. Everything in the universe, everything is connected.
Right,
All humans, all animals, the house, everything is
Right.
connected. Everything is energy. Everything.
mhm,
So it's important to become conscious of our actions so as not to create negative karmas
Mhm.
for ourselves and for other people, and
Mhm.
that's why I brought that up.
yeah, cool, yeah. Or to put it another way, do good stuff, don't do bad stuff.
Okay, he's narrowing it, he's getting to the nub of it.
Yeah, that's my job. And no, and seriously, no, and my job is to, I always see my job as, if we're gonna be Buddhist here for the moment, the Buddha, shortly before the Buddha died, he said, and personally, yeah, I am a Buddhist, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Christian,
Well,
I'm a
me
Jew.
too.
Yeah, you know, but, you know, I value truth and wisdom anywhere I can find it. God
Yes,
knows I
me
need
too.
all the wisdom and truth I can get. So
Me too.
any tradition, any source, any person,
Yes,
I'll take
absolutely.
that with extra cheese.
I'm down with that.
Yes. Amen, sister. So shortly before the Buddha died, he said to his disciples, "Go throughout the land and teach the Dharma." Dharma meaning the Enlightenment teaching, the teaching that helps us wake up out of the nightmare of suffering. He said, "Go forth throughout the land and teach the Dharma in the dialect of the people." In the dialect of the people. And I take that very seriously. I take that as my mission, should I choose to accept it. I choose to accept it. I'm doing the best I can. And the dialect of the, and that's why I try to boil things down, bring them back to the simplest, most non-exotic, most everyday language possible. So if the word karma, if thinking of it in terms of karma and 7 generations or 700 generations, whatever the hell it is, if that works for you, God bless, Buddha bless. But but I just always want to make sure we whatever is true, whatever is useful in that, to make it accessible in simple language that people who don't relate to karma, dharma, whatever,
Or dogma.
or dogma, yeah, right, as you know the expression, curb your dogma.
God.
My karma ran over my dogma. Good. What else? Yes, yes.
I'm curious about, earlier tonight you were giving advice to the group. Well, if any of you in here are retiring or have retired,
Uh-huh,
and you want to do some work,
uh-huh,
work in the prison.
uh-huh.
Okay. So I'm just curious
Mhm.
about what that.
If that appeals to you, by the way. And there can be a whole lot of
No, I
other
understand.
good places to do good
Of
things.
course, I understand. But I'm curious about why, what drew you to that and continues to draw you to that? What is
Mhm.
the essence of that experience for you,
Mm-hmm,
to the degree that you are, recommending it and
Mhm.
continuing to do it and have done it for so many years? What is that all about?
the way I came to it personally was it goes back to my hippie days when I was locked up a couple of times. Never for long, longest, a couple of times I was locked up for 3 days. And, I was a, basically clueless white kid from the suburbs. And it was very eye-opening for me to see how people were treated and to see, gee, there's a whole lot of black and brown people in here. Way more than would just get here by the laws of probability. What's going on there? And then when I came to the end of that part of my life, okay, this hippie thing was over. and I dropped back into college, and I had family, a supportive family, and finance was available, and so forth, so that I could do that, and go on to have a very fulfilling career and a wonderful family, and meet incredible teachers, and put their teachings to work in my life, and find out that, hey, this waking up stuff really works. But I always remembered those guys that I was locked up with, and realizing that most of them didn't have the incredible good fortune that I did, and I kept feeling like I should bring something back there to them, or at this point to their sons or their grandsons, who are at this point who are still locked up. So I just felt drawn to do that. And then once you start, that's what got me started initially in 2005, and then once you start, it's just so great. The Buddha said, practice, do your meditation, or we can apply this to anything, your art, your music, your raising your family, your running your business, because that's all in kind of the big sense. That's all your meditation, that's all your Dharma activity, if you're doing it right, so to speak. So the Buddha said, do your Dharma like your hair's on fire. One of the wonderful things about working with these guys who are locked up is their hair is on fire. They get the seriousness of the matter. It's not just some, workshop in the suburbs. It's not some, well, okay, should I take the meditation workshop or the macrame workshop this weekend? It's this stuff is way more important than life and death. When you get guys who's, they can at any time, any CO, a corrections officer, cops as they call them there, any cop at any time can tell any prisoner, okay, down on the ground, face down. It could be in a puddle, it can be in the snow. This stuff's happened to the guys that I work with. Or the cops can come through, and it's time to, they do occasionally unannounced, they toss your cell, which means they go through, toss everything out looking for contraband. And some of the cops, by the way, are terrific. They're just wonderful gentlemen. Some of these guys there at Northern State Prison in New Jersey, where I go, I've known them, some of them for years, and they're just wonderful. Some of them are not. And when they toss, some of them, when they toss a prisoner's cell, and they go, oh, you've got some nice comic books. He's got a nice stash of candy bars. That whatever meager, pathetic little possessions the prisoner has, some of these cops, they'll just take it, for example. Our friend Daishi that you were asking about before, who's this incarcerated artist down in the South, who sends me his visionary artwork, and he's sent me ones that have muddy boot heels on them from the cop stomping on it. So I like going into prison because prison is just like everywhere else, but more so. It's all cranked up to 11. It's all more intense. So I learn a lot there. I learn a lot. I learn a lot from my guys. We can be sitting here and I'm leading the meditation and I'm saying, okay, the thoughts come and go, fine. The sounds come and go, fine. And sometimes someone will go, yeah, but a motorcycle went past. How can I meditate with a motorcycle going past? Well, these guys, they live on the tiers where it never gets quiet on the outside. Radios are going and TVs are going and arguments are going. It never really gets quiet on the outside. So they have to find the quiet on the inside. They don't have a choice. They're never gonna, they know they're never gonna make the waves on the surface quiet, so they have to go into the deep water where it's always quiet. And it's just it's very beautiful to see. It's very inspiring. Is that, yeah, good.
Yes, I understand. It's the
Yeah.
experience of a second-class citizen.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of history of, you know, second-class citizens being the people that often will be attracted to this awakening process. You know, it often takes some kind of discomfort here on the surface to motivate people to look into the depths. So either you've got to be in some second, as you say, some second-class citizen situation, or for those of us who've had the great, you know, fortune of being born into pretty comfortable bourgeois lives, often it has to be something that invades that bourgeois comfort. You know, for some people it'll be a career crisis, or it'll be a romantic breakup, or the death of a loved one, or something. Just something that, gee, I can't be okay with that. I can't find how to be okay in my world. My model here, my model of my world, of a world where I can be okay, is not working for me. I have to look somewhere else. A lot of people, maybe most people, I don't know, I don't know the statistics on this, but it seems like a lot of people, something has to happen. They have to bottom out in some, they have to get some, there has to be some irritant for them to look for that awe, you know, and to find that the real awe is on the inside. It's really interesting being in prison, and I was just, when I was there yesterday at Northern State in New Jersey, and I saw this happen again, that in many cases the COs, the cops, and the prisoners, they're from the same neighborhoods. Sometimes they grew up together, they went to the same high schools, or they, you know, or the one who's locked up dropped out of that high school, the one who's locking him up just happened to have the wherewithal to get the diploma. And so, you know, and sometimes it just seems like just a little thin bit of difference made that big difference in how they wound up. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, about that why is it, I remember asking a teacher once, why is it that pain and suffering in our life is what brings us, usually, it's what brings us to the Dharma, or to spiritual, you know,
Yeah.
raising the bar of life. And he said, because it's the thing that gets our attention.
Uh-huh,
Because what?
yeah,
It's pain and suffering is what gets our attention.
Oh,
yeah,
Otherwise, we're just kind of going, you know, just like going through the motions of life and, you know,
Yeah.
status quo, whether it's contentment or not. But when it's real pain or suffering, that gets our attention.
Yeah.
And we say, wait a minute, there's got to be another
Yeah.
level.
I'm going to repeat that
My
in case our friends in YouTube land couldn't hear that, because that's really good. So Yafa was quoting a teacher of hers that she asked, why is it that it often takes some kind of pain, something to get us on the awakening path? And the answer was, because it gets our attention. And otherwise, it's easy to be lulled. You know, if your life is just like a bathtub and it's just the right temperature, and you know, it's just kind of, you can be lulled, and then, you know, one day something falls on your head. It gets your attention.
but here's the thing about that. There are people who have experienced, they're not in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, actually, most of those people in prison do not come to your class.
Correct.
So, but sometimes people, and I had a crack addict in one of my classes, and I
Mhm.
think she fell off the wagon, and she chased my entire little sangha away. And
Mhm.
she was so offensive.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept thinking I could help her. So how do you
Mm-hmm.
deal with people who are so deeply embedded in their suffering, and who are so, I mean, you can hit them over the head with, I mean, they can have horrible experiences in their
Mhm.
lives, they can have death of a loved one, all kinds of things, but they just will not take even the tiny necessary steps,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to do something to relieve their own suffering.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad, and it's so
Yes, it is.
frustrating. It's really, really tragic.
It
I
is
mean-
it is tragic.
I mean, I'm thinking, I actually gave up on this woman, I politely got rid of her, politely. But how do you deal
Yeah.
with that?
Well, no, it's a great question because, you know, we're confronted by this every day. There's so much, you know, just walking around here in, you know, here we're in Santa Monica, Venice, you know, paradise on one level, but, you know, it's paradise these days with a whole lot of homeless people under the palm trees,
Yes.
right? And a lot of them, you know, I don't have to tell you, just in miserable condition, a lot of them obviously deeply mentally ill and not having a good time in this
Yes.
life. And, you know, it's heartbreaking.
It is.
Yeah, it is. You know, there's in the Tibetan tradition, you know, they have Tara, the great
Yes.
female Buddha, the great female Buddha of compassion, and the one story, and there's always a million stories about these things. One story in the origin of Tara is that Avalokiteshvara, who's the great Buddha of compassion with the 1,008 arms. If you've ever seen these paintings, they're incredible. He's got, and you know, and they count them. He's got 1,008 arms because that represents you know, it's like the petals of a flower because he's reaching every direction in the universe, into every corner of the universe. That's that omnidirectional,
Yes.
just global compassion. And the story is that that Tara was born from his tears of compassion for the suffering of the world. It's really beautiful. My daughter is named Tara, or Tara, by the way.
Yes.
So,
I remember her.
yeah. So yes, we want to make everyone's suffering, small and large, go away right now.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. That is our aim, and that aim is so compelling that, as you know, in the Buddhist tradition, they have what's called the Bodhisattva vow.
Yes.
That you know, at least once, or for some Buddhists, they'll do it every day. You renew your Bodhisattva vow, the vow to lead all sentient beings, you know, from human beings down to the little. I used to go to this Asian grocery store near my house where I lived in New Jersey, and they had these big bins of dried little tiny shrimps, like brine shrimps or whatever you call them. And you know, you take a scoop, like scooping out flour, and in one scoop you take it out, and there were thousands of them. And I went, oh man, that Bodhisattva vow, that's some serious shit. I gotta lead every one of these guys, these little guys, to full enlightenment. Wow. Wow, that is not a casual thing.
What a task.
What a task. And it's an impossible task. It's a poetic ideal. But, you know, you get up in the morning, you gotta do something. What else are you gonna do? You know, which poet was it? Keats, I think, said a man's reach should exceed his grasp. Right? So we may as well reach for the highest. I can't think of anything higher.
Yes.
Now, having said that, when it gets down to, okay, now through some incredible, the only word we can use for it is grace. Through some incredible grace, we here sitting in this room, sitting out here in TV land, we've stumbled into something that works. Something that you sit down, and not only something, but there's something that's nothing. that it's not something that, okay, if you shovel 20 tons of coal a day for 50 years, then your suffering will be relieved. You sit down and you do nothing, essentially, right? You just rest as the awareness, you rest as the beingness that you already are, and the mind settles, as you were saying, and gee, this just somehow it's more and it's less the starts melting into and we discover, and the more we do this, the more that all the is just starting to drain out of our lives. More and more our life is just, and when we, and you know, there's all these fancy words like enlightenment and realization, just means when the is just completely drained out and it's all the time.
And I loved what you say about, when people think, oh, I'm giving up, nothing's happening, and
Yeah.
you tell people, just go into like a Denny's and sit down and order a cup of coffee and listen to the conversations. I mean, after you've been doing this for a while,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. And you hear, oh, those people are really caught up and they're, and
Yes.
yeah, that's what I used to be like. It used to be that way for me. And we just, sometimes I just feel like I just have to fall on my knees and just, shedding tears of gratitude.
Yes.
How was I so lucky? And then you want to share it with everyone. And it's really hard. I mean,
Yes,
I
you
mean,
think.
me personally, I'm working at this full time. I'm trying to write the books and do the teaching and make it all as clear as I can and get my little books and my little, broadcasts and, whatever you got, get it to as many people as we can. Make our little dent.
Me too, dude. I've
Yeah.
dedicated my life to this.
Yeah, and the thing is that also that, and not everyone is going to just buy their particular skill set, is not going to be a teacher or a writer,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that you're not spreading the Dharma in your own way. Then you do it in other ways. You do it through playing your music. Whatever you do, more and more, that is just conveying it's conveying your awareness, and more it's conveying that quality of, and other people pick up on it. They don't know what it
They
is,
do.
but they do pick up on it. They just, if you haven't seen it yet, please, do see that documentary about Mr. Rogers. Won't you be my neighbor? Bring at least 3 hankies. It's so beautiful and so inspiring. So some people could, some people could do it by, doing, puppets for children. Whatever it is, doing music for children. Whatever you do.
And
Now, having said that, you do. All we can do, there's a saying, all you can do is all you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you still do all you can do, and then the result is going to be what it is. And you said before, you're talking about all that suffering, and you said, it was very interesting, you said 2 things in a row. You said, it's tragic and it's frustrating. It is tragic. It is tragic, especially when we realize that ultimately it's unnecessary.
Yes.
It's unnecessary. And in a sense, the more we do this practice, the clearer our own vision becomes, and the more clearly we can see other people's suffering, and more clearly we can see how unnecessary it is. We
Yeah.
can see how they're, in accord with the Four Noble Truths, how they're doing it for themselves. But you can't make people do
Right.
anything really. You
Right.
can't. We can't enforce the Dharma at the with the barrel of a gun. It just doesn't work. But the thing is, even if you can't help them on the visible level, it's really, you can't give up on them. And it doesn't mean we can't, see, what I started to say, yes, it's tragic. Is it frustrating? It's frustrating if we are, from our side, holding on to a requiring a particular outcome, which is, I have to be the Buddha hero who walks in with my cape, the superhero that goes in and rescues this particular damsel or this particular gentleman in distress. That's going to be frustrating because it doesn't work that way. We can't do it. We can't do it. Now, the tricky thing is to recognize that all we can do is radiate it in whatever way we can through our teaching or our music or our collecting the garbage, you know. I used to have this mailman in when I lived in Plainfield, New Jersey, Dave the mailman. He was this little guy who was about 5'2", and he was going on his mail. You think, what the heck can you do for humanity as a mailman? You know, delivering people's bills and so forth. Dave always had the most beautiful smile. Everyone he saw on his route, "Hi, how are you today?" And I thought, wow, that guy is doing more for spreading happiness throughout the world than a whole lot of psychologists and clergy that I've met.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, whatever your path is, you can do it. You can do it. Now, I was once on a retreat in Connecticut with Sokni Rinpoche, wonderful teacher from Nepal. And near the end, there was this kind of empowerment, this initiation into some particular practice. I don't even remember what the practice was. But I remember at the beginning, someone asked, is there a samaya that goes with this practice? A samaya means there's some commitment that the student commits. Okay, for me to learn this practice, I commit that I'm going to do it 100,000 times, or I'm going to do X or Y or Z. And he said, the only samaya is non-abandonment of sentient beings. You can't give up on anyone. And that thing, as I said, I don't remember what the practice was. I don't remember anything else from that retreat, except meeting Richard Gere. Richard Gere was in the room down the hall from me. But that just made such an impression on me, because it's very tempting, especially, you know, doing what I do, travel around, meeting a lot of people, you know, that it's very tempting to go, oh, no, this one's beyond the pale. This person is so out of it. This one's so lame. This one is so, they're hopeless. Something happened for me, just a little thing that happened in my heart from when Sokni Rinpoche said that, no, it's really important, whatever the outcome is, I'm not allowed to give up on anyone. Just somehow that talks to me.
Okay.
And I find that there's some value in that.
That said,
Yeah,
I totally agree.
yeah.
And there's a lot of stories about this. If let's say you're in a forest and you're being attacked by a tiger.
Mhm.
Some of those saints allow the tiger to eat them. Personally, I couldn't do that.
No,
I mean, I have to protect myself.
Yeah.
Personally.
yeah.
So what do you, and then just send that person love, or send the tiger love, or whatever.
Yeah, it's challenging. I mean, you know, flying home from New Jersey today, I had a seatmate guy sitting next to me, this young guy who was insisting on putting his elbow into my space. I said, well, I'm going to be with this for 6 hours. How am I going to deal with this in what's my most enlightened way to deal with it? It was a challenge. I did not have an easy answer. You know, and that's just, you know, that's just an elbow in my space there. Some people have real problems.
So without
So-
going into a tiger situation,
Yeah.
what about cockroaches in your kitchen?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Cockroaches or ants in your kitchen?
Yeah. Oh.
That's like,
Oh.
because, okay, so I say, yes, you are a sentient being, you can exist, but not inside. Get
Yeah.
outside.
No.
So
No. You
try
know
to
what?
get out
You know
as
what?
much as I can, but the
You know what?
cockroaches
This
are
might
inside.
sound like a cop out, but I swear to God this is true. And every time it's become a habit for me over many years. Every time I swat a mosquito, I have a little. It's not even a prayer, but just a little feeling of, okay, you know, just rise to the highest. Just wherever you can possibly go from the mosquito form, mosquito lifetime, whatever's the highest, the best, the most expansive thing, please go there.
So I get it, it's like the action is sacred, even of the killing. There's an intention, like,
Yeah,
for example, I remember the Eskimos, when they were hunting a seal
Mhm.
or a fish, they would actually say a prayer, and they recognized that that one was coming chose them actually as a sacrifice for
Mhm.
their food.
Right?
So the action was of even of killing them and feeding them. That
Mhm.
was a sacred moment.
Right.
And it was a ritual.
Yeah.
So even the mosquito or the
Yeah.
mice.
I heard a story years ago about some Tibetan Buddhist monks living in a monastery, and I think it was in upstate New York. Yeah, was that KPR or whatever that place was called? Yeah, and the place was just and they they had a vow of non-killing, and the whole place was overrun by cockroaches. And they finally sent word back to the Dalai Lama. They got like a special dispensation to have the joint fumigated.
When I was in,
But the whole point of that was that, but they did like a ritual prayer.
Right.
Yes.
for them
The intention.
Before
Right.
they did it, and.
Right.
And then they did it.
it's
Yeah.
how you relate to
Yeah.
that.
I like to-
It's
I
not
like-
hatred. Or,
Yeah, there might be some great big organism out there to which I am like an annoying mosquito, and one day it's just gonna swat me, and if that happens, I kind of like the idea that as it's swatting me, it's saying, "Okay, little D, may you rise to the highest, the best, with my best wishes."
And if you believe in reincarnation, you look at the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna in there tells the hero Arjuna not to question the position he's been cast into in life, but to live it out fully. And so, yeah, and in that case for him, it was actually to be in war against people he knew. And a soldier, if you believe in the immortality of the soul,
Yeah.
it's a tradition.
Cleo, were you raising your hand before, or did you have something you wanted to say?
Oh no, I was just saying, I was just gonna say on the topic of frustration, isn't frustration a form of suffering?
Ha! Yes,
Absolutely.
yes,
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
yes. So I'm so because I have found out how to become free from suffering, and I see you're still stuck in the suffering, and that's making me suffer. Ha ha! So in that case, how complete is my freedom from suffering? It's not very. It's not very. And then you're in the situation where you have to. But it's good to look at these challenges. It's good, they don't always have an easy answer. But if you're banging your head against the wall because what's wrong with these people? Why are they banging their heads against walls? Then maybe we can look at that and go, it's not helping.
It's an ongoing challenge.
It doesn't help. Gur nicht helfen,
It's an ongoing
as they
challenge.
say in Tibetan. Gur nicht helfen. It doesn't help. It doesn't help. But being challenged by the encounters with homeless people, which pretty much if you walk around, the area here, that happens every day. And a thing that I used to quote a lot, I mean, actually it's in a couple of my books, and I've stopped quoting it because I realize I can't do it. It's a quote from Shantideva, great 6th century Buddhist philosopher. And he said, "Always look sentient beings straight in the eye and think, only through them will I find my liberation." Right? And I've stopped quoting that because I can't look these homeless people in the eye.
So you've never talked to them?
Oh, some of them, but there's a whole lot of them that as a practical strategy, walking down the
Yeah.
street, that if you look them in the eye, you are engaging them, and some of them are psycho,
Yes, they are.
and it's just compromising your safety. This is like, this is like telling the tiger to eat me. I'm sorry, I ain't that enlightened. Okay? So, what I've noticed is that, okay, I realized as I was turning away, as I was averting my eyes, kind of closing my eyes to them, what I recently realized was I was closing my eyes and at the same moment closing my heart. Okay? Because usually those things go together. And I realized that's not good enough. That's violating that thing I learned from Tsoknyi Rinpoche about not writing off, not abandoning sentient beings. So what I've recently decided, for myself anyway, in case this is helpful to anyone, my exercise for myself is, okay, if from a practical standpoint I have to close my eyes, that is, avert my eyes, be doing these two things. Closing my eyes, opening my heart at the same time. It's a little like, rub your tummy and pat your head.
I like
It's
that.
the
Yeah.
mosquito.
That's
But-
wonderful.
It's just like the mosquito.
Just like with the mosquito, on the material level, on the earth plane, you do what you got to do. I was walking to Starbucks before, and I saw someone sitting on the sidewalk, and I thought, oh, homeless. I'm going to walk around them. Turned out it was someone doing some gardening in their front lawn. It was funny.
You never know.
You never know. So, but yeah, just like with the mosquito. So on the earth plane, maybe we swat the mosquito, maybe we avert our gaze from the homeless person, but meanwhile we're giving them some way of giving them the blessing, wishing them the best, and it may be helpful. I find it helpful to just literally have it like, just opening the sunshine of the heart, and just having the idea of just flooding them with this love light shining out of my heart, even as the little headlights up here are moving away.
I do the same. I mean, I do a very similar thing. I always, my way of thinking about it is averting my eyes, but like sending them love. But
And maybe all these horrendous weather changes that we're experiencing on the planet now is Mother Earth trying to shake us off like a bunch of annoying bugs.
Maybe. Stay tuned. So next week we're back to Tuesday.
Well, yeah.
In 2 weeks.
I mean, yeah, in 2 weeks, right? So a week. So 2 weeks from the day before yesterday, whatever that comes out to on the calendar, and then as you all know,
October 2nd.
I'm sorry.
October 2nd.
Okay, October 2nd, good. And as always, you'll get the email to remind you. And Sunday, October 28th, we have the day-long retreat. A couple of you were already signed up. A couple of you were saying you wanted to see me after about that. And we'll be back on YouTube on Tuesday, October 2nd, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. May all sentient beings, homeless people, mosquitoes, cockroaches, gods, goddesses, humans, hungry ghosts, tigers, aardvarks, brine shrimp, the whole mishpucha, the whole greater sangha. May we all recognize our true nature, that happiness, that boundlessness, that endless awe, beginningless, endless, causeless awe that we've been looking for in every moment. Realize that it's our own nature and has been all along, and that we can completely dissolve into that and live that all the time. And thus may the root of all conflict, all suffering, all war, may that spontaneously, all that conflict come to an end and peace prevail everywhere. And in the traditional Sanskrit language, Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu loka samasta sukhino bhavantu loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. See you next time.